All right, all right, all right. We have AngelKnivez in the building. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo.
Welcome to the pod. You know what I'm saying? It's Black History Month. It's only right. A lot of people wanted you on this pod, and yeah, I've always wanted you on the pod. We've been talking about this for like almost like 8 months now, no? So
hmm
I hit you up. You said you're gonna do it. I hit you up like 2 days ago. You pulled up. Welcome to the show. How you feeling today?
I feel good. I appreciate you having me, though.
Mm. So let's get your backstory because I know you come from originally a Red Dead server, right? So
Right.
let's get the story on how it all started out, like even before that, you know, um, because you're a top tier RPer, by the way, and
Appreciate that.
you're really very impressive on how you do things. But we're gonna get more into that. I just kind of want to
hmm
know like how it started, like where you started at, like how you even got into like RPing and stuff like that. So if you want to kind of break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like since I was like maybe 15, like I want to say like 15 or 16 years old, over the course of years, like I was doing like very like text RP kind of like things on forums and stuff like that. So it was like I was always like to kind of like act like I think sometimes it's fun like trying to be somebody else, like you one of your favorite characters or maybe your favorite cartoon or maybe like a line that you rehearse or something like that. So I always like doing that. So I always like you know been doing like text RP for like years, and then over
So what's
time
Tex RP? What is that? Sorry.
so it's basically like more like describing a character's action basically than acting it out. So like for
Mm.
example, having a character that you make, you say like, I don't know, this person looks over and sees this person with black shoes kind of thing, blah blah blah. So it's kind of just like, like just in text kind of thing. It's not mostly like, you're doing the action kind of thing. It's like a slash meme most of the time.
Oh, so it's like
Um
I'm gonna like typing out a story, but you
Right.
could,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
like reading a book kind of
yeah,
thing. It's like kind of
yeah.
reading a book. So it's kind of like that. That's what text RP is. So I was kind of doing that for like a few years. So like different kinds of characters, whether that came with like Star Wars or fantasy or cyberpunk or just modern urban. I was doing it all, honestly. And then a few years ago, I kind of slowly discover I don't remember necessarily who it was, but I necessarily discovered like a category like Grand Theft Auto, but it was like a different kind of thing where it was like not online, but it was like role play. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And
Mm.
then I think I was watching someone play. I think it was called Family RP at the time. I think
Yeah,
there was a server
yeah.
called Family RP, and I was like, oh, this seems interesting. I wonder what it is. And I started to watch a lot of people like Milton Pike, one that played Kiki. I want to say I was watching other people um play all kinds of different characters for sure. I was like, this is interesting. I've never seen it before. So I think for the span of like 2 years, I was watching people play GTRP before I was like, I want to try that. Like, I want to give it a shot. Like, I've never done text RP kind of thing. I feel like I feel like I would feel like very scared to, or just like
Mm.
not very confident to do so because I'm not
Well,
used to like doing my voice to like act kind of thing.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
so back like 2 years ago, I got into like my first like server that was like kind of a loud list when my friends were kind of playing on. And like
Mm.
I think I just jumped right into it, and I got feedback like, yeah, you're pretty much a natural. Like you do so good. I was like, I kind of like this. So I kept at it for a few and then kind of left and then went to Red Dead for like more serious immersive stuff.
So
So that's kind of
what
how I ended up in.
so when you transition into Red Dead,
Mhm.
like was that the first server you transitioned into, like, or was it like how did you get that type of serious quality, or was it something like you watched on someone's stream, like how did you get into that, like really, because that's like really immersive RP.
Right. I think it was like I came across I think I was replaying like GTA the story mode, and then I was slowly interested in playing like Red Dead. So I went to the category. I started to see a few people playing it, and then I started to see role play come from. I was like, "What are they like? What is this?" It's like, "Oh, people do actually Red Dead like servers. Like I've never heard of it before." And I figured like I was slowly trying to apply for like I want to say like no pixel at the time, but I kept getting denied. So it's just like, it is what it is. So like I was like, fuck it, like let me just try like maybe a Red Dead server or something. And like I was watching someone of how immersed it could have like been. It's like I like that because I feel like GTA was kind of like a more of the lenient kind of laid back. I was like, I want to see how like immersive can I get kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I applied for like I think I was on I want to say there was another service on before. I think it was called Twitch RP. I think they changed the name. So it's called like Twitch RP Red Dead server first. And then I was on there for a couple months and then I kind of applied for Wild RP. So I got in pretty easily.
And so that server that you was on after the Twitch RP was whitelist.
Yeah, I was whitelist.
Okay. All right. And then, so what character did you decide to play, and what made you decide to play that character? What's I say?
I think the first character I played was a Russian character, like a Russian American with an accent kind of thing. And I was just kind of feeling it out to see like how to like dip my toes in the entire thing. And it was a really good learning experience for sure. I did have fun with it, but it wasn't a character I wasn't going to stick with. It was kind of one of those characters I wanted to just get my feet wet. And then I kind of made another character that was kind of more of a black character, which her name was Savika, and she was like very known for like a lot of like her black cultureness and stuff like that, and southernness. I really did like playing that character the most, honestly. And I built like a lot of story, and I played that for like a solid like a few months, and unfortunately, like certain people started playing, and then I kind of the story just was left for where it was left off. So,
What do you mean
yeah.
by that? Elaborate.
What do you mean?
You said people started playing and what?
Oh, stop playing. They
Oh,
stopped playing. So
stop,
like
stop. Oh,
stop
I
playing.
thought
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said started. I was like, oh, okay.
No, they stopped playing, and so like a lot of stories were like at a steal. So and we just kind of left with where it was. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So then, so now, what was your main character on the Red Dead? Like, what made you like become, the one? What was
So
your?
I had two. I want to say the first one was my when I transferred to Wild RP. My first one was kind of like I said, just a throwaway kind of weight character. I knew I wasn't gonna play for a very long time, which was Oda. And then over time, I played another character was called Rennie, and Rennie was just kind of like my my youngish teenish character. That was like kind of like young, and she was coming up kind of thing. And so like over time, uh, she was kind of like known for just being like a very troubled teen, younger girl, that was trying to like figure her way through like everything because she came from a really like an orphanage. And she was like her family gave her up kind of thing. So I really wanted to play into a story where a character from that route was just like very like vulnerable and broken, was very like robbing, like just robbed anyone kind of thing. It was just very like didn't have any guidance whatsoever. And then over time she was joining like different gangs and building relationships and kind of like that. It kept getting fucked over because she had like attachment issues, or abandonment issues, excuse me. So over time I was playing Rennie for a few, and then I slowly started to transition to having a second character because if you do go to jail and do a crime, then you get depending on the crime, then you get like OOC days. So I didn't have a character to play really. So I decided, let me just try to figure out what other character I'm going to play in the meantime. So then I kind of found a friend that was playing a lot of mafia like type characters, Italian mafia. And I really loved how they RP because it was really immersive. I was like, I want to be a part of that. So I reached out. I was like, hey, I don't know really how to go about this. Like, should I just like meet up with you in character kind of thing? Or like how it goes? He's like, yeah, just have a character if you feel like and see like if the vibes click and we'll see where the story goes. And I mean, an Italian character. And then one thing led to another. Then I had Sissy. And Sissy was like my mafia Italian character that I also played like, so I had two back and forth kind of thing, which is really cool.
So I noticed like with your characters, like you always have these really in-depth backstories, like, how do you come about these things? Like in a sense, like how do you think about these things and is that like you embodying that character to the fullest? That's why you can play these characters so well, because you kind of embrace that backstory. You become them.
Yeah, so I pretty much come up with it. It's just like, okay, what movies have I seen that the characters that I'm playing are very kind of like similar, or like kind of like that can help me out a little bit. Like, what movies have I seen? What shows have I seen? Whether that's a side character, whether that's a person that has just like a few lines about them just by even the look, whatever. How can I make a story like that? So that's kind of like where I kind of take my utensils and kind of start from scratch of how to build a character. It's like, what person have I seen that he has the look? I start with the look and start with the kind of the base, and then I kind of start with the story kind of thing of like, what theme or genre am I going with, kind of thing.
Mm.
And so when I had with Rennie, um, I think I don't remember what I was watching at the time, but I knew for a fact that I wanted to do a character that was kind of like an orphan, kind of just thrown out, like just turned 18, just thrown out there into the world and figure out life kind of thing. I've seen so many movies like that, right? So it's kind of just like where I can piece the story just from that alone and then like go from there. And then like with my Italian character, it was kind of just mostly where I've seen like the look like maybe Black Widow, or like maybe have like the personality of like maybe Harley Quinnish kind of thing, and like bits and pieces and kind of throwing them all together, but still keeping it very original, but having the inspiration from other
Yeah,
characters from shows and movies.
man, that's in depth. And like so now what because man that's really in depth, because it's like a lot of people don't go that in depth with their character, and I could tell, because like every time I see you on different characters, it's almost like I'm seeing a different person, you know. And I
Hmm.
think that's such a gift. That's such a gift, and that's so talented. That's why like I'm like, man, like how do you do it, you know? So
Right.
so like let's get into like a little bit about you before we transition into like
Okay.
you getting into like no pixel. So like
Right.
as like as a streamer, as a role player, like what kind of trials and tribulations do you go through, like if you don't mind speaking on it, like what type of like stuff that you go through that people don't see behind scenes, you know?
Like personally, like my real life.
Like, yeah, like, as a streamer, like, like, cause it's not easy just to become
Right.
something, you know what I mean? It's, like, what kind of stuff do you like go through?
I think it's mostly necessarily excuse me. I think it's mostly necessary like dealing with a lot of like overthinking like everything, right?
Yeah.
Like when you overthink, it's just nothing but like a continuous like train. And so like getting into that mindset of like trying to distract in like doing anything to distract yourself is like my biggest outlet. So like when I do role play, I feel like I don't have to be me. I could take a break and put a pause on it and be someone completely different, like kind of like out of my realm.
Mm.
And that helps a lot with a lot of shit that I did with like even mentally, because it takes me like it puts a pause on whatever shit I got going on, and I could just play dress up, I guess you can say, and be someone completely different. And I feel like even most people are kind of like that, where I think in just role play in general, or like even acting, whatever, you play a role, and you can be someone completely different and embody a completely different personality kind of thing, but not necessary to a point where that person not becomes your own or that person becomes yourself. It's just
Yeah.
kind of one of those things for me. Like I'm happy that I did find when I was like in a really dark time that way, because it was just like it was really a lot for me. So like finding a kind of an outlet that's kind of like almost like video games, that's kind of like an outlet. I also can do like play other different kinds of characters and have fun with it.
Yeah. It's like almost an outlet in an outlet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, cause I'll be reading your tweets here and there, and I'll be like, yo, hope Angel's good. You know what I'm saying? Cause sometimes I'll be
Yeah.
seeing certain things.
Yeah,
Um,
like that's the thing. Like I don't even tell people what I go through, like really go through, because it's like I'm not about to put any kind of pressure or anything on someone else. They feel like they have to feel bad for me kind of thing with what I'm going through,
yeah,
because that's my own shit. You know what I'm saying? I deal with my own demons in silence. So but of course, I always know that I have friends that are there. It's just kind of a thing where I always feel guilty even sharing any kind of little thing that's not a remotely like happy thought, I guess you can say. So you have your moments where there's days you just like you don't even feel yourself or don't feel 100%, and that could be all that, like most of the time, and that's literally me. So I try my best to put on even the best face, even if I do feel like a little shitty. Like I'm to a point where I feel like I've done it for so long that people can't even tell the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I noticed too, like, you know, you've always been like super like an independent kind of character. Like you can go source anywhere, which people don't really understand. Like in role play, that's extremely hard to be like, let me go make a new group of friends. Let me go make this
Right.
person. You know what I mean? People don't really understand like that
Hmm.
shit. As much as you're like playing a character, that shit is
Right.
because you know some circles are just like very clicky, right? So
Right.
and
No,
not accepted.
yeah, I've done that. I've been in spots where I feel like vibes are kind of like off, you know what I'm saying? Or I feel like this is not really for me, but let me go out and go do something by myself because I know I'll make something great of it. I've done it every single time. And I've
Yeah,
had people that like feel like they've doubted me even that in that case, or feel like, oh, if you go do this, you probably gonna have a low chance of just being by yourself, kind of instead of staying somewhere where you have a little bit part that matters, but it's not as it's kind of one of those things where there's people on a stage, right?
yeah,
And a spotlight's on certain individuals, and you still feel like you're in the shadows. You should, I think every person on that stage should be in the spotlight. So for
mm,
me, it's like I'm gonna have my own kind of spotlights that are sharing with somebody else. So whether regardless if I'm by myself or just with another person, I'm gonna make something 10 times bigger kind of thing because I know my qualities about myself and I know when it comes to like even like role play, I know what capability I can do to make something great.
yeah.
So that
You
keeps me on my toes, whether that's a one character or on a different completely character. I know for a fact that I'm gonna be good.
you gonna make shit shake regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what I've always admired about you. But also, some people, you know, like there's you know, not to drift a little bit, but
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know. I don't want to say a lot, but some people, because you always embrace it.
Hmm.
They don't know you're black. You
No,
know,
they don't.
and now and because it's kind of like I don't know if you've seen the 52 Chains interview, right? But Carmine's
A few,
black,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like, yo, y'all like do it so good, you know. I've
Hmm.
you know I've had the opportunity to know you, uh, you know, for a while, so I knew, you know, so like you know to like all like kind of like even like the black girls
Hmm.
out there that like inspired to role play but might feel
Hmm.
like you know they're like wedged into like a server like D10 or something like that, like
Hmm.
you know, and you've got like you're very one of the all right, don't quote me wrong on this, but I say Ray, one of the few like black females on the server, right?
Yeah.
How do you navigate through that? Uh, you want to elaborate on that, like explain on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can. I think it's like it's to a point where I know for a fact, like sometimes in certain struggles, like it's very hard to have representation correctly, right? When especially when it comes to like say a black person playing a black character. I feel like most of the time, certain people don't recognize black representation. I feel like, if I'm being completely honest, that certain black characters get so outcasted a little bit or like tossed to the side. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really even seen even black women characters be more praised than they should be.
Mm,
Um, and I've seen like most guys and like most black men and mostly black characters a way more kind of like a little bit more lenient than the girls that because what I've seen recently, I just been like I see like oh I wish that it was more than just that. I wish that there was more representation or there was a girl or not just one but like many girls that like on whatever server that was kind of way more representative of black women characters instead of people having to feel like well I just get so much shit or people just think I'm this I'm that I'm this I'm that. So I feel like I don't even really have that if I go play somebody that's a different race. I feel like I don't even have the same problems that I did playing a black character kind of thing. I think it should
interesting.
never right. It should never be like that. You know what I'm saying? People should play what they want to play. You can play whatever kind of cultures you want respectfully kind of thing. And I think for me as a black woman, I always like different cultures. I've played Chinese kind of like ish characters. I played like Asian characters. I played, you know, even reps of it like Russian. I played a little bit of Mexican. I played a little bit of this and that because Italian, like I love it all because there's different kinds of cultures as representation. I feel like even now um there's not many representation when it comes to specifically Black women. I would say there's good representation of Black men for sure, but I don't think there's a lot of representation of Black women, and I really wish that would change because there are a lot of great role players for sure that have not had the opportunity to be seen in that light, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's you touched on an interesting thing. So like in a sense you said like you kind of touched on it. You said how like you feel that when you play your like your Black character, you don't go through the same problems as you play other characters. Like
No,
it,
I'm saying in a sense, I've seen girls that have played Black characters, right, that have gotten more harm than praise. Then if they
mm,
were to go play something else, they don't really have the same kind of uh issue
yeah,
playing any other, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by that.
I
And
got
I
you.
was saying that it shouldn't be that way. It should be like kind of the same kind of respect all around, you
Yeah,
know? Oh, that's what I mean by it.
yeah, and no, I like that you're speaking on it because it's a thing that maybe not a lot of people are aware of, right? Because it's like you just kind of just might not even think it's there when it's really there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you being, you know, a Black female, you can speak on this and know, and then you can also like pretty much be the voice for other maybe
Mm-hmm.
smaller role players that might feel timid to do or play certain characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I've had like even comments like I've seen like, oh, you know, and these are just troll like whatever kind of accounts that I really just don't pay attention to. Like, oh, like, you know, Angel hates her Blackness because she plays other characters. Like she doesn't really have, you know, she's never playing Black characters. She's doing this, she's doing that, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. I've always seen like those kind of weird ass comments. It's like I love my Blackness. One thing about it, I've said all this constantly, like I am not my character, my character's not me. At the end of the day, I am still a Black woman at the end of the day making content. What? Because a lot of girls, especially for me, that I even look up to, there's not too many Black women representation, even as fucking streamers that I'm slowly starting to see over time. And I kind of want to be in the lineup of that. So kind of thing, it's just like I like what I'm doing because I'm spreading my talent like across all over kind of thing, whether
Yeah.
that's whatever I kind of am playing, and they don't know that it's coming from a Black woman like myself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah.
I do like, you know, expanding where my talents is. Like I don't just have to play just one character because I'm just a Black woman playing another Black character. I can play anything I kind of want to and still have representation of me being a Black woman that's playing the player behind the character.
Exactly, exactly. Because it's showing your multi talent. Like, you know, it's kind of
Exactly.
like it does. You don't need. It's not about the character you play. It's who's playing the character. You know what I'm saying?
Right, that's like me saying to you, like, I'm gonna be honest, I feel like you can't play any other character that's not Black. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I feel like you just don't have the talent to do any other like that. It's like, bitch, let me show you. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
It's like a
kind of one of those things.
backwards comment, a backwards handed like
Exactly.
and yeah. No, I'm really and like you know I love the you know I love the Brooklyn character and I felt like you played Brooklyn like crazy. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you came in and you played Brooklyn, like you made a huge impact. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like just overall, like you know, and now you know the GG character, um, awesome, crazy. Like I feel like it's two different people. Like I said, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
I don't think I think you just are vast talented. Like you could do a lot of things. So I think I'm excited for like more characters, you know, that you can dabble in and tap into because that's just a talent within itself.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah. And then it's like so now you know we're going into Red Dead. How did you and then so you have like a crew in Red Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Um how did you transition to No Pixel? Like how did that come about?
So I want to say about maybe a year or so ago, a lot of no pixel, like kind of like no names were coming over to applying or kind of playing on Wild RP at the time. And keep in mind, I wasn't even watching too much of No Pixel as it is, simply because like I couldn't even get in. I've tried to apply so many times, I kept getting denied. So a lot of known faces were slowly coming, like trickling in to like Wild RP, which was like, I wouldn't say Buddha, Anthony Z, Mecha Bear, I think Sab or Sob, I think I'm saying that correctly. And that's a few more other like new kind of faces I've never seen before. And
Yeah.
then those specific people were kind of drawn to people like in our group kind of thing, and people like on both of my characters kind of thing. So they were kind of trickling in kind of thing. And I think a lot of them kind of saw a lot of talent came from people like, for myself, like Wild RP role players were starting to see like a lot like, yeah, I'm like, I really do like their like they're really immersive kind of thing. And then I think this was around the time that I was slowly kind of blowing up a little bit, I guess you can say, by the crowd I was around kind of thing. And a lot of people started to, you know, check me out, I guess you could say.
It's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember I was most of my story on one character was like with Anthony Z, with what when I was playing on Rennie a little bit. So it was kind of like a back and forth thing. It was like, and it was like really fun, and it was like really good RP.
Yeah, Anthony Z is
him.
really, really good at RPing.
Yeah. So I think this was around the time where I think NoPixel changed how they applied. So instead of writing something to prove yourself, like why you would be good to play on the server, it was kind of like submit your clips and submit like videos to showcase your role play. And then I think I applied again and kind of was showing like different clips and then different certain things about like myself with the app, and just threw it in there. And then I think within the span of like a day or two, I realized that I was kind of whitelisted. And then not only was I whitelisted, I think even a day after, I think someone ended up giving me prio too.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, oh shit, like I'm finally accepted to NoPixel. This is like, but fun fact, I'm at this, and I actually was playing on NoPixel public for a little bit, kind of down to see what it was, what NoPixel was like, and like the system and stuff like that. And
how did you like public?
Really cool. The crowd I was around was really cool. It wasn't really tedious. The people were pretty solid and pretty fun. And I ended up joining a gang quite like in the span of a few days, and then I felt bad for kind of like transitioning, kind of leaving them, and just, you know, kind of thing.
Bigger and better things. You got to do what you got to do. But public has some really good RP. Like, you know, they have their, you know, the wild ones, whatever. But there's a couple gems in public. There's a couple gems. Yeah, that's awesome. You got like, it's crazy because it's like how you said, like you was applying before, and then you kind of got denied because it was like, you know, the writing app. And then once they changed the system and they got to see all of that, not only did you get whitelisted, you got prio, which that's amazing in itself. So that kind of came back full time, you know, full circle. And then so you got into whitelist, you know, 3.0. You know, so you came out with this character, your original character, your first character was Brooklyn, correct? So
correct.
How did you you know, you kind of was with that crew that you came in with, and then kind of separated and did your own thing. Do you want to elaborate more on that?
When I came on to Brooklyn on the whitelisted server?
Yeah,
so when I kind of remade Brooklyn, I was kind of like by myself a little bit, but like over the course of time, I was like running into like certain people. I do remember I ran into, I want to say, a Carmela. Like I've known Carmela, or Carmen, I should say, excuse me. I was spoken to like a few years ago. I think it was like in 2020. We linked up and played like some games together, kind of thing. I was showing her the ropes, and then I didn't talk to her since then. That was 2020. And I think when I got accepted into like, I want to say, what do you call it? The server, I kind of end up running into her because she took me hostage, kind of thing. So we kind of just, our characters kind of like ran into each other, and we kind of connected a little bit too. And then there's other people I kind of ran into. I was kind of navigating towards as well. And you know, it's crazy. And I ran into like Vinny as well. And to a fun fact, I've known Shots for like years. I've known him since H1Z1 days. So like, it was really nice. Like, oh my God, like I do remember you. Like I do remember we came from the same kind of community back in the day. So that was really cool. So I was running into certain like familiar faces, but it's kind of one of those things like I didn't want to necessarily be around them specifically because of that fact. I wanted it to be kind of genuine if my character does fuck with these kind of people, kind of thing. but over time it ended up being like our stories kind of connecting, and you know, certain people started to become a piece of the puzzle. So then I started to play Brooklyn a little bit more, and over time, like people kind of like started to like her, kind of thing, which is cool.
Yeah, I fuck with Brooklyn heavy. All right, how did GG become invented? Because you was playing Brooklyn for a while. Um, how did you invent Brooklyn? Sorry, GG, and like what's the storyline behind that, and like what's the and the progression on that character?
So I made her back, I want to say in June, like the end of June or something. I think this was around the time where I was not role playing with my certain crowd of people anymore that I did with on Water Pete on my other Italian character. And I think, you know, me and the person spoke was like, yo, like I miss like role playing with you, dog. Like I miss you too, kind of thing. Like we just, because our vibes was just like so like cool, like role playing with each other. They was like, you know, like, you know, we're gonna try to probably build some. Maybe if you still want, maybe you should build like, or just make an Italian character kind of thing. You can even be like kind of related to us if you want to, kind of thing. I was like, you know, I don't really know. I'll give it some thought, but like over time, I started to think about. I was like, fuck it, why not? If I don't like the character, I'm just not gonna play or whatever. It is what it is. So I
Yeah,
ended up making kind of whatever kind of character at this point because I didn't even know even how long I was gonna play her. But I didn't necessarily want her name to be the same name as somebody else because I kind of want her to be like a standalone character just in case. Um, so I just made like Giovanna Carcello. Didn't even think I was gonna play her that even long, honestly. And then I think over spent a few days, everybody loved her. Everybody loved Gigi and just like how playful and how like completely opposite and just very energetic and kind of crazy kind of character she was. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I had a different kind of separation and a kind of different experience and enjoyment of playing that character because it's way different from my personality as a player because I'm more chill and not that loud. Well, I mean, I'm pretty loud, but I'm not that loud of a person how she is. So it's kind of like very like different because it's like I'm very chill, like a very quiet person. So like
yeah,
when I play her, she's just full of fucking energy and takes so much out of me playing her for like 8 hours a day. So ended up being like one of my popular characters also for sure.
yeah. So you're now you so Gigi's introduced. Gigi's becomes a part of the Italians, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
She's the cousin of Luciano and Vito DiCenzo. Yeah.
okay. So now transition into 4.0. Like what's the story behind Gigi? Where's she going? Like is it like you're not sure? Like because you're like people are loving this character. This character is
Mm-hmm.
growing. OC and all of that stuff. Like so
Mm-hmm.
what's the you know
So coming back, it was already one of those things where you just kind of, you know, everything's new. You don't really know where your story's going to go, other than the whole 5 year period gap kind of thing. So I had to really take even like a few days even before for them to figure out what happened that made sense to come back kind of thing. Because I didn't want to just come back and just pull it out my ass. I really wanted to take it seriously kind of thing. So it was kind of one of those things where, you know, one thing about Gigi, she's a very sociable person, a social butterfly. So she wanted for her sake to make at least connections. So she went around talking to like everyone, just like because she wanted something. The one thing about the character, the one thing she really wanted was striving for is to feel like she had an importancy, like wherever she was. So like, you know, like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that without, maybe we should call Gigi kind of thing. So kind of being one of those people that they can call on her kind of thing, having a good important role and not just unnecessary people can use, but feeling like part of the team kind of thing. And I think
yeah
that was a really big thing. Even 3.0, she didn't really feel a part, like she was a part of something, but she still felt like she wasn't, like her abilities wasn't good enough to have a permanent placement.
yeah
So for 4.0, it was a very different kind of mindset for her. I think now, like spend like what a month or two now, I've had her in a kind of in a situation where it's just like her mentality and the way her life that she used to live is slowly changing of the group she's being around. And I kind of really do like that because it's deteriorating what she was used to completely a different kind of mindset that you would never to think Gigi would have. So she went from like a luxury kind of lifestyle kind of mindset to a street smarter, a street how like a gang would think kind of like
it's
kind of mindset now.
It's like
which is really cool.
It's almost like in real life, like how you like certain things change you as a human being. You go down certain paths, but now it's like you've created this character, and now you have to go down. The personality shifts. The character goes down this path. It's kind of cool when you like look at the whole story, the whole outcome. It's like, damn, like you said, like Gigi went from the luxury life to now she dabbling into street shit, and like what she's getting, but she's feeling empowered by herself, you know what I mean? And she's making her own decisions. So it's kind of cool to see that, flourish.
Right, exactly. It's kind of one of those things where she's kind of trying to be like her own person, whether like if she feels like she has to be by herself, then she's going to be good depending on the people that she's talked to and her connections, and she'll find her placement kind of thing of just by how she is as a person.
Yeah, like so Gigi, the character, will always find her way no matter what happens.
Right.
Okay. I'm excited. So you excited. So like for instance, for Angel, what's next for Angel? Like does Angel have any like future plans as far as like, role playing, streaming? Like what's next for you?
I think what's next for me specifically is continue to do what I'm doing. I think I'm at a really good pace. I don't want to move too quickly because I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, whether that's role play related or just streaming in general. I think I'm really liking the pace I am now, because you want to be blessed and be very grateful for how everything is now, because you're going to miss it, because time is something you're never going to get back. So I don't want to rush success. I don't want to rush anything positive that's coming. It comes when it comes, kind of thing. So
yeah,
I think right now I'm happy where I am. I do want to say I want to role play and be and even like connect with more in and out of character with people I've never been around before, because I think it's really nice to meet new faces, whether that's streamers or role players kind of thing, and kind of get a little insight about who they are and like their kind of style, because just like, damn, like I really respect that, like how you do things, because like maybe you come across somebody you've never met, or maybe you come across somebody that's never been really in the spotlight before, but you have like a conversation, or maybe you like reach out to them kind of thing, you get to know them a little bit better. So
yeah,
I'm going to continue to do that for sure.
and that I always do admire of you. Like you've always kind of been let the talent show, and been more of like, I'm gonna let things come to me, which is like, that's a deeper power within itself. You're not like chasing things. You've always been like more the humble, laid back, and
right.
Yeah, you've always been that way since I've known you. So that I respect, because you really don't see that a lot, especially in this industry.
Yeah, my mindset is always like, I'm not in competition with nobody. I'm in competition with the only person I'm in competition with is myself than I was yesterday, and be a better version of me tomorrow. And the only person, I think, for my mentality, is like, everyone on a stage, it's not just one person has a spotlight and one doesn't. Everybody deserves a spotlight. Everyone has their fair share of showing their talents, or whatever the case may be. So for me, it's kind of just like, I'm in competition with nobody. I'm in my own lane kind of thing. So
I like that. You be cooking low key. Like I'll be seeing those tweets, and I'll be like, yo, you be saying some inspirational shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even like what you're saying, like, the whole spotlight analogy, it's real. Like, and that kind of perspective of thinking is like, can motivate people, because sometimes people do feel like, maybe their character is not enough, or is that and that. So like certain things that, like people hearing this will be like, oh, I should think it like this, So yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, it's the best man you can have for yourself, honestly, especially in a role play thing that's just full of opinions. That's the only mindset you can have.
Yeah, it's literally just opinions. That's it. And I feel like opinion is only validated once you actually take it in. If it's
exactly
good or bad, it's only validated. It only becomes something once you kind of look at it,
Right, absolutely. And I try my best to not feed or go looking, you know, something. Because once you go looking, then that deteriorates like your whole kind of mindset, whether you choose to believe it or not. So the moment you don't go looking for it, you feel like kind of like in a better lane kind of thing.
I like that. So I guess so basically for now you're just embracing the moment. You're grateful, have, you know, a lot of gratitude for what's going on, because you're popping off now, and it's well overdue, to be honest with you.
Appreciate
That's
that.
just my opinion. And I'm very happy. I'm very proud of you, and you know,
Thank you.
you're killing it. And I really wanted to do this interview because I wanted, you know, there's not too many people like you out there, you know what I'm saying, that's in the role play space. And I wanted this to be something where, you know, a lot of young females, not just females, but, you know, but just in general, just like be really inspired, because yo, like you really a go-getter. You really get it out the mud, and you're willing to do everything by yourself. This ain't no like, oh, this motherfucker put me on, and blah blah blah. Like you really, and I've seen you do it. So
Yeah. I think that I also have a bit of a mindset as well, is kind of just like at the end of the day, I feel like I put myself on, in a sense, like my talent or me showcasing what I can do instead of having someone do it for me. Just showcase like my abilities. I can stand on my own 2 feet. Like you can literally give me a stick and I'll make the most of that goddamn stick.
yeah,
I will literally show how much talent or whatever kind of thing with that stick. I will make something out of that damn stick. I would turn that stick into a tree. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my mentality, like with anything in life or just role play or streaming, whatever. That is my mentality. I have the ability to do it sometimes, and sometimes it's very hard for me to even believe in myself. It takes a lot, but I know when I do have a steady mindset, that is my main focus. That is what keeps me going and motivated.
yeah. And then you kind of just touched on it, like you're like, sometimes I don't feel like, and that's what I'm saying. That's the behind the scenes that people don't really see, because they just see this, you know, go getter. But it's like, yo, you how much work you have to do to like push yourself and keep going and stuff like that. People don't really see that, you know. So hearing it from hearing it from your mouth and stuff like that, it's kind of like, wow, like it's more inspirational, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So you know, I'm looking forward to the GG story, you know, coming, like, you know, the 4.0. Question, would you ever are you gonna bring Brooklyn back, or?
I am going to bring her back. It's kind of one of those things where I'm kind of waiting for something drastic. I think I touched on this maybe back in the day, but it was one of those things where I did play Brooklyn, did like a whole kind of thing arc, right? And then have her ICU for a few months and then came back. And then people were, it's like, oh my God, Brooklyn's back. But what kind of happened to her? And you were kind of involved in it, like with Zolo kind of thing. It was kind of like one of the best arcs on a Pixar that I did have. So it's kind of one of these things where I'm waiting for something drastic to happen to switch off and then play her again.
Yeah. Brooklyn, Brooklyn went, what, ICU twice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great because like a lot of people that was kind of part of it loved the storyline, which I
Nah,
love when
like
other people are having
I
fun.
think man, I'm trying to think, man, because I'm like Brooklyn was so dope, because it's like, even after, like, you know, when the first time Brooklyn ICU'd, right? You was gone for like 2-3 months, and like people were still talking about it, and because it helped other storylines flourish, right?
Right.
So it was crazy, and I always like, man, like that takes a lot for, like, sometimes for you to just like ICU your character. That's a lot, you know. But to let other stories flourish, that's huge.
Yeah, that's the one thing about me, is like I'm always trying to be giving for other people to make RP out of whatever kind of thing. When I was on Wild RP, when I was on like my Italian character, there was kind of like my backstory that kind of there was lore with the character as far as like her family goes. So, you know, I did reach out to people like, hey, would you mind wanting to be part of this small little arc scene kind of thing, and just kind of like set up scenes, but I don't really necessarily give them the script like, okay, I want you to do this kind of thing. It's kind of just like, would you like for this to happen, and you can do whatever you kind of want as far as the response. So I give people the kind of whatever they kind of want to do, but just set the scene up kind of thing, and have like people be totally surprised about what's gonna happen, because I don't even know what's gonna happen. I just set
Yeah.
it up. So it's kind of thing. It was like one of what kind of happened like with Brooklyn. It's kind of like I didn't really care. I kind of was set certain things up and then choose for other people how to respond to it, instead of like, hey, can you respond this way? Can you like, no, it's kind of not just as, as that's not improv to me. You know what I'm saying? So I just
Yeah.
like setting shit up and have people respond however they kind of want to. Because the thing about with role play is like there's two things. It's a game of telephone because you're never going to have all the facts, and you just never know. You can have something, you want something to go your way, and it completely go a whole 180, which is the
Yeah.
beauty of our play. So
Which is
yeah.
crazy because that's why like I commend like characters like yours, because they're like so out there, because a lot of people play safe, right? Because it's like you
Right.
said, like you could go ICU or kill a character and people just anyways next day like
Yeah.
nobody's talking about it, right?
Mhm.
So and then it will like, oh man, like what? But then it's like that's the whole point about that risk. And I think when you play edgy too, it gets crazy because it's like, certain viewers won't like it, and that's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. And I kind of think
Mhm.
I played Zolo a little edgy close to the end, and I kind
Mhm.
of dialed back. But the edgy was really like, a lot of people liked it, but then it was like a lot of people didn't like it,
Right.
So
Right.
so that's where you get into like, but then when you kind of play safe, you're kind of just like, yeah,
Right. I think it's kind of one of those things, just like when it comes to like, for me, I would just say I'm more crafted. I have way more confidence when it comes to emotional kind of role play than conflict RP. I think I'm still even learning as a player to like dabble into setting up conflict or being part of conflict RP, because I know how much rise I can get whatever you try to set up or try to do, because it can either backfire you or it can make something big. But I think moving forward, like I think you just can't really think about those things. I think if you are around certain people, depending on the players and role players, I think it's nice even still, whether it may not be what you want or maybe how they respond, but it'll still be like you still think it's still good RP kind of thing.
yeah.
As long as you're setting up stories. So
Nah, you're not wrong with the emotional RP, because I remember like watching your streams and being like, damn, like that's what I said. I'd be inspired by you. I'd be setting up little emotional stuff, little shit, little effects, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it leaves you're really good at that. So I've been, dibbling and dab. People will laugh at it because it's like, okay, it's always funny, but I'll be really seeing you get in the bag, and I'm like, man, how she do that? And
yeah, I think it's cool because it's like once you start doing something, like say for instance, like maybe playing music in certain scenes or having a certain doing slash me's more, kind of one of the scenes like maybe somebody else will pick up like, huh, I really like how that scene went. I'm gonna
yeah,
start trying to do
yeah,
that, like, and see
yeah.
where it goes for me. You know what I'm saying? So I love even putting that algorithm into like having other people do their own kind of twists with kind of like setting up certain scenes for their character. Because something I would say like some role player probably or players are not even used to that because it's so like kind of fast paced. Like Zone Pistol is very fast paced, so it's not very like immersive to it. It's like take your time kind of thing. It's always moving kind of thing. So I think slowly it's become a little bit more better as like how Wild RP like kind of did things, but or like Red Dead, I would say. So it's really cool to see that more people are starting to get into scene making and having music in certain scenes and build up and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When you've got people like you that come in and you inspire 5 people, 10 role players. That's huge. That's like
Mm-hmm.
10 role players in the server. Like you inspire them to like then they inspire like So definitely think since you and your crew that came over,
Mm-hmm.
at like the level of RP has always been top tier.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've
with
always
the
wanted to be
Italians
a
and stuff.
right. I've always wanted to even be a person, and even if it was a role or whatever, be someone to help other players out with like expire like backstories or building a character or moving forward. Like if they had like ideas for certain arcs, how can I go about like doing these kind of arcs, kind of thing? Like what is the best mentality? Because some people feel like they just get on and play, and they just feel like they don't really have any depth, and they feel demotivated. I kind of want to, even if I could extend the hand, like, okay, like I could sit down with you, like, let's talk about your character. Let's see what you would want to do as a player to navigate your character, to put your character out there, because you're never going to get anywhere if you're being too quiet. Let's just be honest. You're not going to get anywhere if you're going to be a quiet character kind of thing. Like you always have to feel like even have a placement of just being a little louder so people notice the fuck out of you. Because once you're a little loud in the room, that's when people will start to pay attention to you. That's what I noticed for myself, is like I played certain characters that were kind of a little bit more loud for people to pay attention to, because 9 times out of 10, if I was to be more on the crowd route, I feel like nobody would notice me. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I build characters personality wise. It's kind of a little bit more not annoying, but like that's, hey, I'm over here kind of thing, like pay attention kind of thing. And it's kind of like very natural, you know what I'm saying? So I do like going that route, because you're never going to get away with being too quiet.
Yeah.
So you want people to be loud in the room, because that's when people start to pay attention to you.
You ain't wrong on that. That's gems right there, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Angel, anything you want to say before we end this? Any like advice, any gems you want to say, like, to the people that are inspired by you, to the people, that might feel like they need a little words of encouragement? Is there anything you want to say?
I got one line that sticks with me heavily that I always say towards like my end of my stream. And it's like the one-liner, but it's very, very powerful, and you can take it like anywhere. You don't always have to be liked, because you're already loved.
Damn. You don't always have to be liked because you're already loved. That's powerful. Right. I'm not going to lie. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. That's very powerful.
I appreciate you having me on here. I really do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming. And like I said, like, even me, like, I always find it like, cause like when you ask people to come up, like sometimes it's, scheduling, sometimes it doesn't happen. So, but it's like, I hit you, you said, yeah, you said this time, and it was like, bing, bam, bam. So like, I really, really thank you for that. Cause at the end of the day, you took your time out to be here. So I'm grateful for that, cause that means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, make sure you like, subscribe. If there's anything that I missed asking Angel, just write it in the comments, and maybe we'll get a round 2. It's your boy Zolo. I appreciate you. Peace, peace.
Bye.
Shit, let me